Good morning. Welcome to Satsang. If one is still searching, I really think we never know what helps. But it looks like there is a quite good help. To spot the mind, what's the mind? To know, oh, I am in a state, I fix myself somewhere. Just to know that, and then you have not to do anything, because what you can describe, you are not, it's already an object, and you give a moment from where this could be seen, quite a quiet moment there, not doing anything with it. And I am that. What's referred as being. No, what does it mean, vigilance? As I said, if you still search, if you don't search anymore, it's just to give space here and there to that in your life. You have not to take a practice for it, because you have seen, regardless of the state of my mind, I am that. So you just have to allow yourself not to go with any movement of the mind. So I mean, the practice is to catch the mind, the movement of the mind towards probably the source of it. This is too much. This will not help. It's just to make that alive as it is always here, but looks like clouded by the mind. That's all. And that, in a life, it's very wise to live that up to the last breath. As what you are is not acquired by you as a person. As a you make a point to give space to that in your life. Voilà. This is the breakfast of today. So, if you have anything to say or clarify or whatever animates you, welcome. Whatever we practice, it is a movement of the mind. So, how can you hope that a practice leads you and makes a quantic leap to as a result? It's not like that. The result will always be in time also. Will always be mental. Of course, in the mind there are different layers, from gross to very subtle. But still it's the mind. Still it will be a temporary result and subject to changes. So you cannot rely, you cannot have peace with temporary states. And the state is maintained by I, the first thought, I. So this I, if it is not questioned, it will lead you always in states. When you come to this question, who am I, it's still a thought, but the particularity of the question, it doesn't bring any object. So the thought I is nearly alone. So as it is a thought, you spot the mind, you spot the thought, and you are free, because you are not what moves or what is presented. The particularity with this thought, as I repeat, is that it is the subject of all thoughts. So I like to say that if for one it's clear that what I am is not what I think, should keep quiet. I can have moments of enlightened mind, and of course that is, if it is the mind, it will change shapes. And the mistake is to think that when I have this enlightened mind, I am that. And so when it changes, what? You still want to fix it in an enlightened way. No. No. What I am is not what I think. Can we have the mic, please?
Hello, Ganga.
Hi.
So, when you say, I know what I am, you say that.
Yeah.
So I know. But
Yeah.
for me, which I know, I cannot describe. For me, this is sure.
Mm-hmm.
But when suddenly I appear, I realize this I is the creator of the
Yeah.
world,
Absolutely.
the world.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And for me, it's this creation contain beautiful things and horrible things. This is also intellectual.
Yeah.
No, it's not intellectual knowledge.
It's
It's
apparent reality is like that, yeah.
So, just a question which I really ask many times myself.
Uh-huh.
When the emotion is very strong
Yeah.
and you cannot control that, you live these very painful things.
Mm-hmm.
And really, sometimes I say, why do we have to live such painful things?
Why?
And it's terrible, you know, because I have an obsession of that, you know.
Yeah, but you know also, who can reply to that question? Tell me.
Myself.
Only if the question disappears. I
Yeah.
don't see any answer to that in the same level of the question acceptable. It will never satisfy you.
Yeah, of
Maybe
course.
for a while, and then you will again ask, but why suffering? That was the question of Buddha. Huh? That's how he searched why this suffering is there. Why?
Why?
Why this death is there? Why? You see? It's really the question of the mind. And but tell me, who so far could reply in a wise way? I have not read, I have not heard. I just know is when finally, when this question arises, you know very well that there is no answer, and the answer is just not to catch that question. Otherwise, you will have no answer, unless suddenly I am enlightened enough to tell you. Any question of this mind will never bring absolute satisfaction. It will go on changing with your maturity, your life, your circumstances. So the peace, we speak of peace sometimes, it will not be when you have a sound, absolute answer. It will be when you don't go in your mind.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, but it's so difficult to control when you are
No, it
completely...
will appear. It will
It
appear.
appears, yeah.
It appears.
Yeah.
But if you know what it is, it's already a big blessing, isn't it?
Of course, I know.
Yeah, because
But
the mind cannot answer.
Yeah, but I know, but in the same time, I always have to ask that question.
You know,
because
sure.
it's,
Me
it's,
too. I say, what is
yeah.
the meaning of this life?
Yeah.
That was also which was making my search. So, you know, what's the meaning of this life? That's the search starts. But the question may not disappear because the mind is like this. But you know I mean, the question can still appear, but the way you take it may change.
Yeah.
Once you see, it's not grasping why and how and if and but that I will be at peace. That's all.
And you know, for me also there is some I cannot say feeling, but when the I appear, is full of love, and suddenly the things becoming, you know, the a movement of, I mean, the movement of happiness, sadness, beautiful, horrible things, you know. But the beginning is only full of love, which is very strange, you know, how this can be spoiled with...
How?
But this is a
Why?
big question, you know, it's crazy.
Once you are in the multiplicity, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Absurd, crazy,
Yeah.
dual.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well,
I don't think we can change the
No.
manifestation. We can change to drop it.
so it's mean
At
we control
times.
nothing.
Tell
We
me.
are just a small drop in the creation.
That's the answer of the religion. You are a
Yes,
dust,
okay, so
or
I
the
have-
scientific, you are a dust of God, or you are the parcel, the particle of the stars,
Yeah.
or you are, to express we are really very, very, very small something in the big something. But that dust and that particle still has the power to question.
Yeah. This is a mystery.
It's totally crazy.
Fortunately, anyway. So this one who questioning this is necessary to be comment on dit je trouve plus les mots.
En français, tu dirais comment?
Attends,
Tu sais plus.
Incarnate.
Incarnate,
oui.
yeah.
So if we are not incarné, on ne peut pas se poser la question.
Well, Uma.
Yeah, sure.
I think you are very right.
I'm sorry. No, but it's a main question we have. Yeah. But fortunately, which is save me, is the love.
Oh, you are lucky.
But when I speak about love, is love my heart.
Yeah,
you know, it's belong to my heart.
Yeah, it has many names also.
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah.
you call it love. Why
Yeah.
not? I mean, why not? Why not?
So okay. I'm quite about that question. Thank you.
I did nothing that you don't know. It's very interesting. You sent me a video, scientific video, where they even discover that this world has no existence. Yeah, you remember? Okay. But you see, even discovering that, and they came to that asking many questions.
Yeah.
I'm sure when they go back home, and that they are troubled by, let's say, their wife or whatever, the emotion is there. I don't think it can decently apply that knowledge to this. So you see, even knowing all this will not help. Will not help. The mind will always ask in different ways. And so it's really saying that it's when you don't catch a thought that you finally may not search or may not need an answer.
You see, I can say I don't church anymore,
Yeah.
but I still have some question about the creation, about the movement of creation.
Course.
Why I go to the scientific?
Yeah, but of course.
Yeah, I
It
need
is
to understand how the creation work. You know, maybe it's
yeah.
but it's
It's an interest.
yeah.
It's an
I cannot say
interest.
I'm not interested of that because it's
No.
everything it's illusion, but
It's an interest.
but it's very an interest to know how it's how it's the
But it
work.
will always lead you in the limits of the creation.
Of course,
That's
that I
all.
understand clearly. Of course, yes.
It's
And
good
I
to
don't
have
see
some
the-
interest anyway, otherwise
Yeah.
how do we live? It's better than to get bored. I had a complaint of a a man who was not, or a woman, who was not searching anymore. He said, but my life is so boring now, boring. I say, invent a passion, invent a passion.
We need to have some curiosity of what we are around, you know. Otherwise, I understand it's really boring otherwise.
You see, I think the knowledge one gets can bring boredom, but, and it may happen in the world of happenings, but in fact, if one leaves space in his life, in the personal life, if one leaves space to what is not boring. The time is boring, maybe.
Comment on dit paradoxally?
Yeah.
I always say the knowledge is an obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
That for me it was completely clear.
Mm-hmm.
And in sometimes we need to have some knowledge for the life, you know, to like you say, otherwise it will be boring. I suppose even the one who's making the beautiful creation of art and everything, it's very important, you know, but it's a part of the creation.
Yeah, I was telling about the knowledge of the self. The
Yeah,
self-knowledge. You see,
Knowledge.
when you have the self-knowledge and you believe that this is it,
Yeah.
you can be bored in life because it is still in the mind.
Yeah.
And the self-knowledge removes everything. So you are left with nothing. And if you believe that the self-knowledge is it, you will get bored. So I was mentioning a bit something different. And you cannot also avoid it, okay, but there are states of mind. Self-knowledge is a state of mind. Also, I called of an enlightened mind. You can have sometimes an enlightened mind. You speak well. In Satsang, I may say, the words which are expressed is like an enlightened mind. And yet, that mind goes on changing.
Yeah.
After you speak of koyo, of coffee, of whatever, market or whatever. So, or boring, I go back to my life, and so on, you know. So, I don't know what to say much more. Maybe you ask me more, but. For example, nothing much happened in our life. You have no access for a few days to internet and whatnot. Really, nothing much happened. Of course, you may get bored. You may get bored, but you know also, I am bored. The person is bored.
What do you mean by
Ennuyé.
yeah.
Dans l'ennui, quoi. But if you know who you are, okay, you get bored, it's less funny than to be otherwise. But there is something you know it is in the life. And you know that's not only what is. I don't know. Maybe I'm not clear.
But when I say I cannot describe, this is clear for me. There is an impossible possibility to the mind to go there. And in the same time...
And where are you then? Where are you?
To myself. I mean, to myself.
You are yourself.
Yes. But I cannot describe. I know, I'm sure, I'm totally clear with that. And even if I say I cannot describe myself, there is something in myself, I can say like that, which is know that, which is have, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I would say I don't know, yet I am. I am.
Yeah.
It doesn't fall into the knowledge.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
I am.
Yeah. This is only the I don't know, ultimate expression of what we can say. If it's really...
If what?
Difficile. Maybe I can say, no, I don't.
Ramana was ever bored?
Sorry?
Ramana was ever bored?
Ramana. Attends, you have to take this. Ramana was ever born.
Ever bored.
Bored. No, I don't. Well, you know, he distracted his boredom taking newspapers and all that. No, I don't think he would say so. But, no. He was reading newspapers. You are there, he was reading newspapers also. And sometimes go looking and then a squirrel was coming, then he was with the squirrel. And You know?
For me,
Yeah.
boredom is a sign I'm in my mind.
It's
Maybe
in your
it's
mind,
wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's in your mind,
So the question of boredom is a strong one for me.
yeah. Yeah, I think for everybody. We hate
And
boredom.
yeah,
Tell me something.
yeah. There is a deep judgment about boredom. A deep judgment means, because I'm in my mind, when boredom is there. So,
But when you
so
are,
when I need, let's
yeah.
say, when I go to the internet,
Yeah,
I'm just trying to describe. There is
Yeah.
always feeling of, why don't I steal a moment now?
you're a bit guilty. Yeah. It is a lot to the humans, you know. But you see, any routine, if you, let's take the swamis or the sadhus who look wise. hmm, What's their life when they before they get known, for example? They just wake up very early, so they will have a long day. They take bath, let's say, because it's important. They take a little breakfast. They look at the scriptures, or they make walks, chat, looking at birds, looking, and then coming back in their huts. And every day like that, going to a ashram to eat their good rice and dal, which is always the same every day, or boring. But they would not say boring. There is also a way to take things, but it's not it's not a sign of enlightenment. But you you can also think. If you think, then it will be boring. What a boring life! But if you don't judge, if well, all that. Going less in comparisons is good also. Ah, it makes speak, huh?
So now we speak of that. It makes me remember I had the same with enthusiasm. I was judging myself for my enthusiasm
Yeah.
for life
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
all the amazing energy that it could bring up in me,
Yeah.
all kinds of ridiculous, funny things.
Wait, just a sec. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah? Attends, merci. Okay.
So there was this whole dialogue going on inside myself,
Yeah.
seeing that, noticing that, seeing this immense energy going into all these appearances coming and going, and feeling that this is not. I'm hopeless. I will never make it. I'm too identified, and but this whole dialogue, this whole quarrel is quite and completely down today.
It's dropped.
It's dropped. Yeah,
It's the mind, isn't
it's
it?
to all the mind. Yeah, and
But sometimes you can still say, this life is quite long.
Yes. True.
Whatever. It was a good subject.
No, I don't know. I feel just the openness to share. It's
Yeah,
open
sure.
things. I feel like I have this lately. How really to remain still. You know how not to be taken.
Mm.
And it keep coming back. This
But first of all,
and of course the judgments come like
no,
like so many years in satsang you cannot just
let
keep,
me tell you,
you know.
you never lose yourself. It's the image, the experience you have when there is no mind that you love. And you confuse that for it because you never lose yourself. Let it go to the internet, let it get boring, let it get to any passion, even to want to go back to. It's to a state. It's to a state, and there is nothing wrong. We have preferences, but it is any shape will go on changing. So if you prefer a shape, it's human. But if you put a belief that you are more yourself when you have no mind, it means that you still have to wake up. Once you wake up, even all this can go on, but you cannot confuse. And it's totally normal also for one who has some wisdom, I may say, to cherish moments of quietness. But it is not that you are more yourself. Okay.
Yeah, so I could see that I am attached to this state, and
Yes.
I want to
Yes,
to be
but
there.
then you are attached. You are attached to this state, and it's up to you to find a life which gives you more that because you like that. Now, when you don't have that, you don't lose yourself. Okay? Paradoxally, there is a wisdom, I would say, in life to still have space without mind, without confusing. This is called vigilance, to be vigilant. Well, I say that today. I don't know if I would say in 20 years, but
No, I get it. It's just like that I wanted it to last. And
it will not, my dear.
So not to go again into the movement, and then it's impossible.
It will not. And you tried and you see. You fail. Every time you fail. So it's the nature of what appears, huh? Yeah. The human need rest, you see.
Because of the conversation.
It's not a conversation. So, what?
Does that mean then that you can never be more or less moving from beingness? It's only you're always yourself, but it's just that your mind said that you're more the beings or not.
The mind speaks, and does the mind can the mind speak what's real?
No, it cannot.
You're sure? You should be sure, not repeat what I say. Of course, the mind, when the surge is gone, the mind can be still agitated, but it can also know moments of total quietness. That's maybe a relative effect of the life of that one. But it's all relative. It will never last. Nothing lasts. Nothing lasts in this world.
Just it's the what you're just saying about and the boredom is, if things didn't change, then that would be really boring. If we were completely in a state of a state, whatever that state may be, and it was fixed, even if it was bliss, that would be extremely boring. So the fact
bliss, no, bliss. This is a quality. That's why it is not called pleasure. Bliss has a taste of eternal bliss, but which is not true. It also goes.
So. Yeah. So everything's changing, even bliss. So, as you just said, yes.
Yeah.
So that's why we're not getting bored, really, because life is always in movement. But what I hear is that truth is unchanging.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mind goes and looks for this unchanging state because it hears that truth is unchanging. So it's trying, and that's where we get caught in the confusion of that, because it's not unchanging. It's not unchanging as opposition to changing.
Yeah, but you see, that's why anything which is uttered will not be it. That is sure. Even when we say unchanging and all that, we know that we already spoiled the whole thing. Yeah. But yet, These are golden carrots for a mind who is miserable and searches. So, what you learn is, okay, the mind will be there as long as I live with the multiplicity, but what I am will not be touched by anything. I cannot even say it's unchanging. It's just I don't know. I don't know it. Now I want to go back to bliss. I think this word is different than pleasure because it's true. The bliss expressed goes on changing, but I think they meant the bliss of being, which is not to search anymore. There is a kind of peace or bliss, even if the mind is fact. There is, I don't say when you are totally identified with the mind, but yet there is something when that phase of difficulty, for example, goes. Where are you? You are where there is no mind when you don't search. You are yourself, you can say. And then something else appears and so on. That's life. So that's the bliss mentioned, I think. It is something, it's not the state of bliss. It's to mention, it's true, what a gratefulness, what a joy. Even when you are not well, you may suddenly say, what a joy not to search anymore. What a fuck, but in a good way. And this you cannot explain, of course. But again, you ask, for example, a Swamiji or a Sadhu who is completely away from responsibilities of life, it was his choice and so on, he may reply you differently. Because a quiet life has a flavor of quietness, of happiness. But then you put the same sadhu in Berlin or Paris or even not in Elfenbrush, because for him the boredom will be quiet life. For us, boredom will be his quiet life. But maybe he will run away because it's unbearable, and so on. I mean, I don't think there is a way of life which is more real than another. This is my point. You may prefer, that's a different thing.
Can I just ask something else? Do you think it's, in a way, sufficient to live with that deep knowledge of I'm not the mind, without having a so-called transformative experience of that? Do you think just knowing that enough is going to be sufficient to allow in it, because it's such a thing through grace, in a sense, my feeling, that it's not, so just knowing, deeply knowing, just coming to satsang, being told this again and again and again.
But you know, the essential, let's say second best, okay, you know I am not the mind. But the essential you are not the mind, then where are you? And you don't answer. Your answer will be, remain where you are. To be able to say that. That is more essential to have that knowledge. Now, if that knowledge helps you to keep quiet without the mind for a split second, great. But don't forget to do that. Don't land simply on I am not the mind. Okay? Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like I am not the mind, then you plunge into yourself. You are yourself, and you may tell eventually, oh yes, I am not the mind. All this self-knowledge came afterwards, you see, but the seeker takes it before because it looks good indications. Who knows? Yes, please. Rama?
So when we started, you spoke about practice. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'd like to share something, and I also have some question in that. No, I moved from a stage of self-inquiry and all these things. If I have to name people, I was with Muji, so it was very beautiful time. I can definitely say it helped a lot.
Yeah.
But somewhere I also started feeling like it's something is not complete.
Okay.
Then I ended up, stumbling upon Sadhguru. Then
Yeah.
from the way of mind and no mind, once I get into that, it becomes intense practice.
The no mind.
From thinking it's a mind, not a mind.
Okay.
The whole narration became like, okay, I can be wise, I can be stupid. But if I see the practice, how it is many of my friends they also became a brahmachari there.
Yeah.
So nobody thinks practice leads to enlightenment.
Leads to enlightenment.
Yeah, nobody says but if the ground is there, it's inevitable.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks very much like this. It's taught like this. Otherwise, why should you do practices? But you know one thing, after I reply maybe to you, what I see, we cannot take, for example, you meet Ramana, he says, I am that. You are that. Maybe someone will be okay, that's it. But most of us will say, wow, or get an experience, but after, oh, what I have to do for that. And so each seeker makes his own path. He makes his own path. And he will choose what fits apparently at that moment his demand. It looks, oh, that practice, that way leads there, it fits me. I stay here, I trust. But in fact, it's all a delay of the mind. And it's generally, it's like this it happens. And you have also to thank, because this practice removes a lot of concepts. Unless some practice add concept, but I speak of those who removes concept, empty the mind more to go to no mind. Okay? So in that way, it helps maybe to hear better one day, I am that. I don't need practice, I have always been that, but you needed maybe 50 years of practice to hear it. That's possible. But you cannot say that you have to make practice. It depends on each one. It depends how you hear. So we make our own path. And the path you can be grateful to your path. You didn't lose your time because you could not do otherwise. But in fact, it's not the path which will leave you free from this I thought. It will give you a lot of states, subtle, very subtle. But what about I then? That is the last question in a way. And here then Ramana said, who am I? You see? I don't know if I replied your question.
Yeah. No, I agree now when you say that, like, no, I also have seen, like, no, when you say some practice adds more concept. But some practice, like, no, the way, at least, no, I learned it is like, no, my quality of what I am, no, changed over a point of time. No, so this was my biggest motivation for me. So if I am doing practice every day, one thing I see is like, no, what I am as a person, it changes a lot.
Yeah, the person changes a lot with practice, is sure, no doubt. No doubt about that. But what is enlightenment? It's not to be a transformed person. It is to question, am I a person at all? In fact, in what is. That's why you see, I am direct. Because it's possible that those who come had a long practice, but maybe this has to be heard suddenly. Oh, you never lost yourself. Whatever transformation you got was still belonging to I. I am the one who is born. So what do I do with that now? It can't come, you know. If it doesn't come, it's all right. But if it comes, how you will answer then? Not through a practice again. You did it.
When we speak about, like, a lot about mind, everything is mind. And another side, you have, like, when you do a practice, practice is also devotion. It's also a commitment.
Sure.
So for me, it's always I think most of the people whom I know, like, when they saw both the way, there's a big confusion. Okay, one is about, like, you don't have to do anything about it. Another is like,
I know, but everything can create confusion. Practices can create confusion, and to tell no practice can create confusion. That's what I say. Nobody knows how to tell it. Nobody knows. And one tell what he learned himself by what he learned himself. And I stayed 29 years with my master who was telling I am that from the beginning. 29 years of practice, of investigations, and so on. And yet today I say no practice. But I explain. I don't say you cannot practice, you cannot do otherwise probably. I didn't know how to do otherwise. Neti, and what not. why should you do that when suddenly you see, I always have been myself? It's because you are still too much in the mind. The mind doesn't allow you to be free. Then surely you practice.
Okay.
I think you have to be exhausted by your practice. You did so well, so seriously, and yet you have to admit, unless it's not the case, but it can happen to few who say, nothing works. I'm still there. Nothing works.
So this is one way of saying, but if you ask my experience, I would say like no, I'm doing a practice, not looking for any result.
Okay, great.
And it brings as.
And you are happy? You are quiet in your mind?
Yeah, the reason I
I am
would say
happy for you. I don't detain the only truth. If it is good for you, I will surely not disturb you. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very happy for you. In the contrary.
Okay.
Yeah. Be at peace. Sure. I did also so much tapas and all near the Ganga. And yet today I say, you don't need to do that. But I did. So you see, nobody knows how to tell. So be at peace. And it is true, I admit myself, that some practice gives a more peaceful life, maybe. It has its benefit.
Sorry, Ganga. So when you're speaking of realizing that nothing works, are you saying that when you really get that nothing works? Because I've got to that stage a few times, and then there's like, well, maybe this will do it or something, you know. But when you really exhaust the nothing works, then
Why do you ask a question then? Nothing works.
nothing works. No.
So you have not seen yet fully that nothing works. And everything works. Everything works.